So if sex or very frank talk about sex makes you uncomfortable, please leave. Or if you'd like to have a high opinion of me after this is done, please leave. You can use the restroom. Look at this. You could use the restroom. You could go out for a smoke. You could just like go stand in another room for a second. And so now that that's said, and they're right, okay, the money's. I came out in 8th grade. I came out to all of my friends, and for the most part, very quickly lost them. But you know, that tends to happen. But not that you're all like, ooh, that's very sad. That very quickly got remedied because, you know, I'm such a cool guy. But for those of you guys who don't know, I am, even though I say I'm gay, I am, you know, somewhere on a spectrum there, and have some interest in the ladies. And it's just easier to say I'm gay because there are less questions. Woo, Yoli. That's what that sign was about earlier. So in 10th grade, there was a girl and I, and we became friends, and we dated for a month. And then we broke up because I was like, I can't do this, you know, whatever. I mean, before Kyle, actually, my longest relationship was a month. Like, that tells you where I'm at in terms of people. I'm like, use them and lose them. I know. But we remained friends. And the problem is that she still liked me. She still liked me a lot. And our relationship became very tumultuous. I had a little 2-seater car at the time, and the passenger seat was her seat. And if anyone else ever rode in that seat and adjusted where the seat was, she would freak out at me. I also was not very nice back. It was very, very tumultuous. So then, there came one night, it was 12th grade, and we were talking. We were parked in my little half car at the library, and I was telling her, it's after hours, it's really dark, it's, oh, hey, librarian's here. It was not at Portage Lakes Library in the parking lot. And so I was telling her, like, hey, you know, I think I have a crush on this other girl. And she said, well, she didn't say anything. She actually started sobbing and said, if you want to have sex with somebody, I always thought that it would be with me. I always thought I would be your first girl. Because at that time, like, I was a super bad kid, and I was having sex with, like, every guy all over the place. But had never, at that point, had sex with a woman. And she was like, I thought if it was going to be your first time, it would be with me. Like, I really want you to be with me. You're my best friend. And she's sobbing while she's saying this. And I'm like, I don't know. We're friends. Like, I like, you're my best friend. I don't want to take it to somewhere else. But she just said, like, like, you have to, like, if it's with me, or like, before you go do anything with anyone else, you have to do something with me. And so through the tears, I said, okay. You know, also I'm a guy. So, like, you know, that I'm sure played a huge role in it. And so, not in the parking lot of Portage Lakes Library did she get on the hood of the car, and
White snake video.
and I proceed to stand, you know, like, and I'm like, and I go, right. So
you don't like sex with
So I proceed to, you know, what I think is enter her. And I'm like, oh man, I'm in, I did it. And she goes, that's my belly button. To which I'm like, oh man, I'm sorry. Can you help me out? And she proceeds through like 3 to 5 minutes of like struggling, trying to figure it out. And finally we, how do you say, stick it in? And I sit there for a minute and I go, huh, so this is what it's like to be with a girl. And I'm like, okay, thanks. And I pull out. And I proceed to like finish in the bushes. I told you I'm a terrible person. No one believes me until I tell stories like this. And she's like, okay, cool. So that was our first time together. I took her home.
I have a question. Did the bush have a belly button? That's all I want to know.
The second time we proceed to have
There
sex.
was a second.
He's lying.
Oh God, I wish I was lying. We are in my little half car again. And we're at one of Portage Lakes. We're in the parking lot. And we get into the same conversation and she's crying and I'm like, okay. All right, so I get over into the passenger seat and she lowers herself onto me. And it happens and I feel something hit my leg. And I go like this. That's fucking blood. You're bleeding on me. You're fucking bleeding on me. Get out of my car. And it was kind of a lot of blood. There was blood everywhere. Blood all over my legs, all over my pants, which were around my ankles, all over the seat. She's like standing up. Look at this face. I told you, I am a terrible, terrible person. She's standing there like... Oh, and it, okay. And so she's standing there like with blood running down her legs. And I'm like, oh my God, you're getting blood on my seat. You're going to get me into so much trouble. And so, but eventually we get her cleaned up and we take her home.
It's Sharon's face that's killing me, man.
So the next time we do it, we are again still in the half car.
What?
And this time it is on the hood of the car in a graveyard. And just as we... And we finish, and just as we finish, someone, like I see someone pulling into the graveyard, and I'm like, oh shit, we gotta go, we gotta go, we gotta go. So we both jump into the car, and just as we start to like pull down the graveyard road, flashing lights come on. And we're like, oh shit, like, we're gonna get into trouble. And so the police officer comes up and hands me, or comes up, puts his flashlight in the window. I roll the window down and I'm like, hello, officer. He goes, so what were you guys doing? And I said, well, honestly, officer, we were making out. And he goes, okay, can I see your license? He takes both of our licenses back to his car, and he runs our license, and he comes back and he goes, well, if you guys are ever going to do that again, there are a million places in Coventry to do that. Next time, choose one of them. And as he walks away, he goes, but also your tail lights are out. And I'm like, what do you mean my tail lights are out? So I get out of the car, and I forget that I was wearing a skirt. So I'm like, hey, officer, I'm in a skirt. Woo. And I walk around, and the officer looks me up and down with his flashlight, and I'm like, we're fun. And I was like, and he goes, look, your taillights are out. And I said, oh man, I'm sorry, I just forgot to turn my lights on. So I go back into the car, turn the lights on, and he lets us go. So all of this is to say that, again, our relationship, her and my relationship was very, very, very tumultuous. And obviously, I was a terrible, terrible person throughout this whole process. But now she's married and doing very well for herself. She has, both her and her husband have really nice jobs. She's doing well. She built her own house. So even though, much like many of the strong women we've heard about, she had to deal with an asshole, a real shithead, she has made it out and has managed to have a much stronger life in spite of the fact that I'm a dick. So, yeah.